Hey, what's up, guys? This is Two Awesome Men.
And this is our spoiler-free review over Finding Dory. Finding Dory is a sequel to Finding Nemo with returning director Andrew Stanton and adds director Angus MacLane.
And in this film, we're reunited with Marlin, Dory, and Nemo. And just like in the original, Dory suffers from short-term memory loss. And in this film, she's accidentally swept up by a undertow, and it knocks her unconscious. And when she wakes up, she begins to remember her parents and how she lost them as a young child.
Yeah, so setting on an adventure, she gets picked up by two aquarium employees, and she's actually placed in an aquarium. So now we have the two journeys of Marlin and Nemo searching for Dory, and Dory searching for her long-lost parents.
Now, before seeing this movie, I'm not going to lie, I actually totally forgot to watch any of the trailers for this movie, which actually can sometimes be a good thing. You know, you don't actually have all of these like expectations,
right.
Or sometimes you can even be more surprised when you don't watch a trailer. So before I saw this, I didn't know what I was going to be seeing. I didn't know what to expect, and I was kind of expecting like a rehash of the first one. Like I was hoping it wouldn't be, but you know, a lot of movies do that with the sequels. You know.
Yeah, and I was actually pretty surprised about it too, how deep it like sort of got at times. Like it really delves into some important themes, sort of like believing in yourself and stepping out of your comfort zone, and it sort of even gives an important lesson to parents, like trusting your kids to grow up, even though it might be scary at times.
You know, one really big thing that I liked about this movie is how smooth it was. You know, the storyline was just so smooth and well put together, well structured. And also, the animation was just like really fantastic.
Yeah, which is pretty much a given for a Pixar movie.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And the character development in this movie, the first movie was more of a Marlin, sort of talking about Marlin's story. But this movie, well, obviously it's Finding Dory, so they're gonna focus on Dory. But they're able to flesh out her character more and talk about more of her backstory. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. And also, speaking of that. What were they really going to detail also? Because in the first one, they couldn't really have a lot of scenes with Marlin and Nemo, even though they did pretty well with that in the first one, but they weren't in the movie a lot together.
Well, yeah, that's the whole story.
Yeah,
it was Marlin trying to find Nemo.
Yeah,
so.
but in this movie, they did really well because they really went deep into the actual
father and son.
Yeah, the father and son relationship between them and how it was actually kind of struggling between the two.
Yeah, and also another thing that they were able to do in this movie was they were able. I don't really want to go into some of the details because some of them are spoilers, but they were able to talk about how some of the things from the first movie, how some of the things happened that they weren't able to do in the first movie.
Yeah.
And they actually had a couple of nods to this movie, to the first movie in this one. It's not like they completely forgot about the events that happened in the first movie in this one. They sort of like talked about, made a little nods to it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Also, like I was saying earlier about the story, because I thought like it was gonna be I thought it was almost gonna be like a rehash of the first one, like I said earlier. Right. And so, even though this movie does have like a really similar storyline, you know, it has a lot of unique elements to it that just completely separate it from the first one. And all.
Yeah, I agree. And some of the characters were pretty original.
Fun to watch. Yeah, they were.
And it was actually surprisingly hilarious. Like you go into some of these kids movies and you expect there to be corny jokes that you sort of chuckle at. And you especially for like a sequel to a kids movie, you expect them to sort of reuse jokes from the first movie and sort of get sort of tired. But and this movie was actually, there were some scenes that actually made me laugh out loud. Like it was actually a lot more funny than I was expecting.
Yeah. Also, you know, they do really well at their emotional scenes in this movie. Because a lot of movies that I've noticed, and I'm gonna probably bring up this movie a few times in this review, and that's the movie we reviewed last, which is Angry Birds.
Yeah.
They
I expect you to bring that movie up, but you pretty much hate that movie.
Yeah.
Which I'm sort of with you, but you hate it more than I do.
Yeah, and so you know, so they'll have emotional scenes that you can tell that they're trying to be emotional. They're trying to bring some emotional response out of the audience. And this movie, it worked really well with it. You know, there's actually scenes that were pretty tear jerking. I kind of choked up a little bit in some of these scenes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And like the most important part of the movie, or the most important like aspect of the movie that for me is that even though it's a kids movie, they sort of made it like more towards the adults. Well, obviously, like the teenagers were kids when they first saw it, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like kids can go see this movie and they can enjoy it because it's a kids movie, obviously. But adults can watch it and actually see sort of the deeper meanings that that the movie had,
Yeah.
and sort of enjoy that aspect of the movie that kids probably won't be able to pick up on. But I mean, kids will still enjoy it, obviously. But there's some themes that are get pretty deep in the movie that adults can enjoy.
Yeah, it's funny. It just reminded me that in the actual movie theater we saw it, and it was like tons of teenagers.
Oh,
There was almost like no kids in that movie.
Yeah. Well, it was a later showtime that we went to, but yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Like, the entire theater was full of teenagers.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
And another point that I want to relate to what you just said was I'm gonna bring it up again. Angry Birds. Whenever I went to go see Angry Birds, I talked to people about how much I didn't like it, and so I talked to someone about that, and they asked me, well, it is a kids movie, so you got to look at it from a kid's point of view.
Yeah.
In which I don't find that true at all.
Yeah.
Because this movie is actually a really good example of that.
Yeah. I don't agree with that argument either, because like kids can be pretty easy to entertain, so it's not like if a kid's entertained by a movie, it doesn't automatically make it a good movie. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that argument.
Yeah, and so yeah, this movie had a really deep storyline to really to drag in the actual older audiences. I wouldn't really say I disliked much about this movie. The only thing I can actually say about this entire movie that I might have disliked was there's some scenes that seemed like way too coincidental, and they're just used to take the story along.
Yeah. So I would have to agree with that. I don't know how to explain it without going to some spoilers, because it did feel like there were some scenes that they didn't know how to like further along the story, so they just have something miraculous happen, which of course is a kids movie, so I can overlook it for the most part. But yeah.
This movie was just really well done overall. I loved it a lot. It went above my expectation. It went above like what I was expecting, like way above.
Yeah, I agree. Like to be honest, I'm not even gonna lie, I actually had really low expectations for this movie. I know a lot of people had really high expectations for this movie, but I actually didn't really expect much from this movie, because it's like been several years since the original, and I thought, like you were saying, I thought it was gonna be just a rehash of the first one, but it actually was a lot better than I was expecting, and I'd probably give Finding Dory an A.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with it. Yeah, I'm gonna give it an A as well.
Yeah. And by the way, I know we keep having similar grades, but we actually write down the grade that we think the movie should get, and we show them each other at the same time, and so that's how we do it. So it's not like we like talk about it beforehand and talk about what grade we're gonna give it. Oh, and also one more thing we want to bring up before we go into our closing remarks is that we both highly recommend that you stay after the credits, because there is a scene after the credits, and it's actually worth waiting after the credits to watch.
So guys, that's the end of our video. If y'all want to, y'all can subscribe to our channel. And check out our other videos. We have some other videos.
Yeah, and also tell us what y'all think about the movie Finding Dory in the comments. Just say if you liked it or not, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Just give us some feedback.
Yeah, that'd be good. Also, we have a Facebook page. You can like that as well.
Yeah.
We have an Instagram and Twitter page, and like we've said in the last few videos, we haven't really done much with those at all.
I promise you, I'm gonna start putting stuff on there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Which,
So
I guess if you're watching this years later, but it's not gonna matter. But anyways.
Also, if you have any ideas about what movies we should review, maybe some even obscure movies that
especially obscure movies.
Yes.
Because we like to watch any kind of movie.
Yeah, so please just let us know about that. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be great of y'all. All right. Well,
I think that's about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. I'm not gonna see you. Bye.
Adios.